All right. Hello and welcome to the virtual public board meeting for July 1st, 2021. You can access this slideshow and all the things we're about to show you at Brentwood-Darlington.org about public records, and Maria will put that in the chat. Oh, hold on. It's still grumping at me. A reminder, we're using Zoom and you're all here. I don't think anybody needs me to go through the controls, but a reminder to look for mute and keep yourself muted if you're not talking, and that you don't have to be on video if you don't want. Raise your hand if we are having a discussion. It makes it a little easier to find everybody. And if you're on a phone or an iPad, your controls might look a little more like this. And if you're on the phone, which we don't have anybody today, it's *6 to mute and *9 to raise your hand. All right. Our agenda today is short and sweet because it's summer and lots of folks are out of town and we're in between projects or at holding patterns. But we'll go ahead and jump into community announcements after introductions. I'll go ahead and go first, and then I'll call down the row. You don't have to introduce yourself if you don't want to. You can say pass or just sit quietly. I'm Chelsea Powers. I'm the current chair, she, her pronouns. Not my first meeting. I've been in the neighborhood about 6 years now, and first heard about BDNA through a National Night Out event that was posted on Facebook. And I don't have anything else to add, so I'll go ahead and say, Maria, you're next.
Hello, my name is Maria. This is not my first meeting. I have been in the neighborhood for about 4 years, and I first heard about the BDNA on that Easter egg drop in the Brentwood Park. My pronouns are she, her.
Thank you, Maria. And Maria also helps host our meetings by being the person who lets you in and posting all of our links. So thanks to Maria. Looks like Kim, you're next.
Okay, I'm getting familiar with these controls. Hi, I'm Kim DeLeo. I've been in Brentwood-Darlington for 6 years. I sought out the BDNA to become more active in the community, and I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you, Kim. Kim is also our Southeast Uplift rep, which will come up later. Stephanie, you're next.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephanie Frederick, she, her. Not my first meeting. I've lived here for just over 4 years, just a few blocks away from Chelsea, as a matter of fact. And I heard about the BDNA because I learned about the neighborhood associations before I moved here. And so I sought out BDNA once I knew where I was going to be living. And I'm the chair of the Land Use Committee. And that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie. You'll hear more from Stephanie on all the land use stuff later in the meeting. Linda, you're next on my list.
My name is Linda Goldster. Although I don't live in the neighborhood, I have worked at the Multnomah County Demonstration Garden across from Brentwood Park for 6 years, since 2015. And she, her pronouns, not my first meeting. And I think that's about it.
Thank you, Linda. Chris, you're next on my list. Oh, Chris, you're still muted.
Hi, I'm Chris Gustafson. 5 years ago today, my husband and I moved to Portland from Seattle. We retired to this neighborhood to live close to our daughter and son-in-law and our grandkids. And since we've arrived here, we've volunteered in a lot of different ways. I helped a lot at Whitman, a little bit at Lane. And I think I learned about BDNA through the Connected Neighbors page, or maybe by nothing. Whenever someone moves into my neighborhood, I make a little card that has all those connections on it and just go and take it with cookies. It's my go-to for hopefully getting neighbors connected.
Thank you, Chris. We appreciate that. And I know new neighbors do too. Lynn, you're next.
Hello, I'm Lynn Reck, she, her pronouns. Not my first meeting. I'm the current treasurer of the board. I've been in the neighborhood for 28 years, and I first heard about the BDNA through a Facebook post.
And we got to give props to Lynn's husband and son, who I see picking up trash almost every weekend along 60th here. So,
They usually every day, practically.
well, they are
Yeah.
doing amazing work. So give them a shout out if you see them.
I will.
Mary, you're next.
Hi, Mary Davis, she, her, not my first meeting. Lived in the neighborhood since 1994, so 27 years. And I first heard about the BDNA on a meeting from the association regarding the safety action team.
Welcome, Mary. We're always glad to have you. Christina, you're next if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Chris. This is not my first meeting. I try to drop in now and again because I think it's just a good thing to keep tabs on, but usually I'm doing some chore while I'm listening. We've been here since 2018. I heard about, I think I saw a flyer for the meeting at some point, and yeah, it was, a year and a half before I could drop in the first time. But I really have enjoyed these pandemic Zoom meetings. I hope they keep up even after we go back.
We're hoping to figure out how to at least still record them so that people can watch them later or listen in live. I'm not sure how we'll handle interactivity for that, but that's definitely something we'll be talking about, hopefully this meeting or the next. All right, did I miss anybody? All right, let's go ahead and keep going. Community announcements. First, we always start with our friends at the Green Thumb site. For Learning Gardens Lab, I don't see Luke here tonight, but I wanted to let you know the Harvest Share is open. There's a new one every Monday that opens at 5:30, and the link Maria will post in the chat. And they are also now open for volunteers. You do have to sign up. So there are 2 sign-up links for those times, Mondays 8:30 to 11:30 and Fridays 8:30 to 11:30 as well. And you can check those out if you want to volunteer. Black Futures Farm, I don't see. Oh, sorry, Stephanie, go ahead. You have a question?
I have forgotten what Harvest Share is.
Harvest Share is their solution to not being able to host a farm stand. So it's like a CSA that you buy by the week. So every week you can sign up on Monday for a share that you pick up. I believe it's Thursday.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and it's really reasonable. And if you are curious what's in it, I think they have like a sample up. There's a lot of information at the Eventbrite page.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Yep. Black Futures Farm. I don't see Malcolm or Mirabai tonight, but I know that they were just recently featured in a good article that we linked on our Facebook page, and that you can visit them at farmers markets now, and you can find out which ones those are on their website or their Facebook page. Multnomah Master Gardeners, I will turn over to Linda. Go ahead.
Well, okay, I am the director of the demonstration garden at just below Duke on 57th, off of 57th. We've been very busy and just got word yesterday that we're totally open. Yay. And that we're gonna start having events and classes, etc. soon. We don't have any plan on the plans yet. The demo garden is now open to the public. So if anyone wants to stop by and just say hi, come and look at the garden, you're more than welcome. Anytime the pedestrian gate on Southeast 57th, just south of Duke, is open. And that's usually Monday through Thursday, 9 to noon. Also, community members are able to sign up to volunteer at the demonstration garden to see how we do things there. Just have to sign one release form and that's it. So just get in contact with me. My contact information is on the screen there, and I'll get you set up. Hope to see everybody there.
Linda, it looks like Stephanie has a question.
Okay.
Yes, please. Linda, how did your crops make it through the weekend?
Oh, very sad. The summer crops did really, really well. Things like tomatoes and squash and the pole beans did very well. Most of the other vegetable crops did well. Our berry crop got decimated. The raspberries were just at the proper ripeness to be sunburnt and turned to mush. So we lost at least half of our raspberry crop, about a quarter of the blackberry crop, about 20% of the blueberries, and one of our grapevines. So it's all the berries and the small fruits that
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No.
I wondered how you were making out. Okay.
those are all perennials that got decimated, so they will be back.
That's good news. I wish the blackberries behind me had been a little more decimated, but
A different kind of blackberries.
yeah. If you want to know more or you have questions, the contact information for Linda is also there in the chat. Thank you, Linda, for coming to our meetings. We're excited to come see the demo garden because I believe it kind of got really going right before shutdown. So new and exciting.
Yes, thank you.
All right, next up, Mary, what's new at Leach Botanical Gardens? I saw the newsletter. It looked great.
Yeah, that is the good news. Is the garden looks great. I'm sure it made it through the horrible heat because of the canopy. Probably saved a lot of plants from being torched and scorched. We're going to have a lot of changes this year. We knew we were in for a few changes, but they keep rolling on. One of our longtime curator and cultivator is retiring as of yesterday. And her replacement is part-time and will be focusing on annuals rather than perennials. So that's a huge shift in effort. And our head of Visitors Bureau decided that her kids really ought to be have a mom. So we lost her as well. So we'll be looking at our budget the next 6 months to determine what it is that we'll be able to do to balance our budget. We're undergoing a introspective journey.
Any questions for Mary? All right, thank you, Mary. Be sure to check out the website there and sign up for the Grapevine newsletter if you want to know more, and the link is in the chat. All right, school update. I have an update that about school nutrition. You can see there that we have 2 local sites for summer lunches. That is for all children ages 1 to 18 or 0 to 18, as soon as they can eat. And they do not have to be a PPS student. Our neighborhood locations are Lane Middle School and Woodmere Elementary. And not listed there, the summer lunch and play, the closest one is Mount Scott Park for us. So if the PPS sites are closed, but they indicate that the park sites are open, the next closest site is Mount Scott Arleta. So BDNA, we might want to put a little note in there to try to figure out how we can advocate to get Brentwood-Darlington to be a site so that our kids have a lunch choice when PPS shuts theirs down, because that leaves us with nothing here in the neighborhood. And then before I move on to other school news, Chris, did you have an update on the school project you're working on? Chris Gustafson?
Are folks familiar with the Southeast Guiding Coalition?
Do you want to give a quick little summary and
Sure, absolutely. So because a new middle school opened in Southeast, Kellogg, is opening this fall, it was an opportunity to shuffle a lot of boundaries in order to figure out who was going to go to that school. And then, of course, the dominoes fall all over the Southeast part of the city. And so as the school district was looking at that work, the boundary work for Kellogg, what they saw was that as the boundaries were falling, it looked like both Lane and Harrison Park Middle School would be really continue to be, for Lane particularly, be continue to be impacted by being under enrolled. And so they put together a committee of folks from all over the Southeast for the purpose of coming to some conclusions about boundaries for Lane and Harrison Park. And the lens they're using is equity. They've asked us to look at the data behind every decision that we make from the viewpoint of will it promote the welfare of Black and Native kids, and that on the assumption that if those two groups benefit, that's where we want to make things happen. So that's the purpose of the group. It's met a couple of times. We're kind of taking the summer off, but in the fall, we'll be making those decisions. And as I know you know, because you're all savvy neighborhood people, those are super complicated questions. So I'm on the committee representing Lane, along with the principal, Mike Rowell, Andrea Emerson, who is a person of color, who is a parent at Whitman Elementary. She has a second grader there, and Stephanie, the principal there, also on the committee. So I want to let you know that's happening. One of my jobs is going to be to try to gather neighborhood input around what the neighborhood feels about these questions. And I'm really interested in tapping into networks other than my own to get more points of view around this.
any questions for Chris? All right. Chris, thank you so much for coming and giving us an update on that. We know you'll come and update us more or send us news as you get it. If you are interested in that, you can message Chris here, or maybe Chris would put some contact information in the chat, and you can learn more. The other school news I have is from Lewis and Maria. I believe you've been involved in helping me get this information. Do you want to talk about this, or do you want me to go over it?
Yeah, I just heard about it because my kids go to Lewis Elementary School. So yeah, that's just kind of some updates from the Meriwether Lewis Elementary School. There is a group of students, upcoming fifth graders. I don't know them personally. I just, as I said, heard about it in the newsletter, but I reached out, wanted to learn more about that. This group of students, they started a petition to change the name from Meriwether Lewis Elementary to John R. Lewis Elementary. And they are asking us to spread the word and get community members to give their input if they support this idea, to sign the petition, of course, but I think they are just generally interested in getting feedback for that idea. They did write up, I see Chris likes the idea. They did write up a statement that is very small, so I'm not able to read it out because I have several little windows open, Chelsea. I don't know if you want to read it or if you have
I can read it, yeah.
Okay, thanks. It's also on our Brentwood-Darlington.org website. Thank you for that, Chelsea, and on our Facebook group. And I will post a link to the petition in the chat, and maybe Chelsea could help me out to read that statement of the students.
Sure.
Thank you.
I have to get out my glasses, you know.
Sorry to put you on the spot. It's just so small for me.
No, I'd already planned on it. Okay, so, and for neighbors who aren't familiar with Lewis, well, it's not in our boundary. It's only not in our boundary by the width of a road because it's on the west side of 45th, and many Brentwood-Darlington students do go to Lewis. So we try to support them whenever possible. All right, so this is the letter from the students. They say, "Hi, we are a group of Lewis Elementary upcoming fifth graders. Our goal is to change the name of Meriwether Lewis Elementary School to Meriwether Lewis Elementary School. Meriwether Lewis was a white explorer and member of the Lewis and Clark expedition. The exploration of Oregon by Lewis and Clark resulted in the stealing of land from Native Americans. Also, the expedition had an enslaved person present named York, who was not paid for their work. We understand the importance of Meriwether Lewis in Oregon history. However, we do not believe that our school needs to be named after him. We believe that school names should be inclusive of all and are too often named after white people. We are proposing changing the name to John R. Lewis Elementary. John R. Lewis was a civil rights leader and congressman who was known for being one of the Big Six civil rights activists. He was born on February 21st, 1940 in Alabama. As a teenager in the 1950s, he was inspired by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and started his activism work while in college. In 1960, he was a founding member of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC, organizing many events like the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom and the Selma to Montgomery campaign, and the March across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. John R. Lewis was arrested over 40 times for his activism and received the 2010 Presidential Medal of Freedom from Barack Obama. He was a representative of the U.S. House of Representatives from 1987 until his death in 2020. We believe that naming our school John R. Lewis would be a way to honor this important leader in our country's history. We believe that it is very important to get input from the Lewis community on the idea and the new name we have proposed. We kindly ask that you sign our petition to give your input. Thank you. And then there's the link to the petition, which is also going to be in the chat. Any questions on that, neighbors?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Another announcement, I know we have lots of them today. Vibe of Portland is hosting summer camps in Brentwood-Darlington and Foster Powell. The ones here in our neighborhood are at the Moose Lodge, and you can sign up at vibepdx.org/camps. And I've seen some pictures. It looks like they're a lot of fun, and I believe some still have openings. And they do have scholarships available. So if that's preventative to you, reach out and they will help you out.
They're really great. My kids are going there at the Moose Lodge and they really like it.
Awesome. So there you go. The other announcement I have here is Impact Northwest is going to host a COVID vaccine clinic for ages 12 and up. And that will be on July 9th, 3:30 to 6:30. There's a pre-registration link, or you can walk in. And I did not link all of the links for the consent forms because they're extremely long. But if you access the slideshow, you can click on those live links, or if you need a specific language, we can grab that one and link to you in the chat. But I suspect it is also on the pre-registration page. So looks like there's going to be a lot of fun, free food, DJs, raffles, all sorts of fun. So get vaccinated if you're not. You don't even have to go anywhere. I also wanted to thank and congratulate our additional board members that were elected last month, Gail and Kim. Gail couldn't be here tonight. She had a different commitment, but Kim is here. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. And Kim Hill and Laura Lee Cole are not here that I see. So luckily I can give an update on Soak It Week. We had 2 events, and for those who don't remember it, it's our Push to Water Trees the last week of July and August, partnership with Trees for Life Oregon and the Lentz Youth Initiative. I am having trouble speaking tonight. The Lentz Youth Initiative through Rose CDC. And we have our intern is also, I believe, is either a Brentwood-Darlington resident or a Lentz resident. So right here in our neighborhood, we're supporting them. Quick breakdown. I have not been able to do really great stats yet, but I wanted to give you a little update. Over the 2 events, we distributed over 100 buckets. And so we tried to keep track of what languages we handed out, but we didn't have them written down on all. So we have this breakdown here where we show that besides English and forgetting to mark it down, Vietnamese and Mandarin Chinese were our most popular languages. Assuming that the unmarked were English, I've adjusted the graph there. But even so, it's exciting that we were able to give information in more than one language. And I will note that those two languages are also some of the most spoken at our residents who come to pop-up pantry. So seeing those demographics and who we are reaching is really good because we can start working towards having more translations done. Any questions on Soak It Week? All right, we are moving right along. I am going to go ahead and let Stephanie talk about land use and transportation, and we'll go from there. Stephanie, I have a few slides for you, so as you talk, I'll shift those.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Chelsea. And so first of all, an update on the TGM planning effort. Pam was going to provide that update, but she can't be here. So she said that right now this planning effort for 4 neighborhoods, Woodstock, Brentwood-Darlington, Mountain Scott, Arleta, Westlands, and then a little part of Foster Powell, is still focused on organizing its community outreach. And so a public involvement plan has been drafted. We don't have the latest draft, but Pam is going to send it out to board members, and as soon as she gets it from project manager Marty Stockton.
Stephanie, can I stop you there? It was linked in the email that she sent me, and I've put it in our drive there, and there's links. The public involvement plan.
Okay.
She's I don't know if you received that same one, but that PDF is uploaded, and the link will be in the chat, and I put it in our TGM area of our Google Drive, and the agenda is there as well.
Oh, stupendous. Okay, thank you very much, Chelsea. So Pam, Pam just called me before the meeting to say she wouldn't be able to come, and to say that, well, maybe I'm a little confused, because when I talked to her, she thought there was one more draft coming of the public involvement plan. So whatever it is, it'll be available via this link, I'm sure. So, all right, thank you, Chelsea. And so the public involvement plan is going to take in a variety of, hold on just 1 second. I want to
listening into the neighborhood meeting.
So the TGM people are going to
cute
be,
information from it.
okay. What's going on? ¿Qué pasa?
It was just somebody was unmuted. Stephanie, I went and looked back at that email. I want to note that this is the draft public involvement plan, and that we have linked up here. That was what Marty included in her email. So it's not a finalized one, it's a draft of one. And the feedback is due no later than July 12th, according to the email from Marty.
Oh, you got an email from Marty, not Pam. Okay, I beg your pardon.
Well, it was from Pam, but if you read down into Marty's email below, it says that here's the link and here are the 2 documents attached. And so
okay, that's fantastic. Thank you, Chelsea.
Whatever Marty last sent out is up on the drive, and those links will be in the chat.
Okay, fine. All right. And what Pam told me is there might be one more version of the draft to react to. So, but that's fine. And so the public involvement plan will address the project area, what past public outreach has consisted of. We'll go into equity considerations and their current efforts to reach out to the community and make this plan. I guess they will describe any advisory bodies that they have, and then go into the public involvement process. So those of you who can read the draft public involvement plan and comment on it, that would be great. We will welcome your comments by or before July 12th. Okay. And
sorry to interrupt, Chelsea, I do not have those links available to put in the chat. So I don't know
Oh,
if you want to put them in the
I will
chat
grab
or,
them and stick them in the chat. Apparently I forgot to add
Okay.
them to the document.
sorry to interrupt, Stephanie.
Yep,
Oh,
nope.
no, thank you. Thank you, Maria.
And just to highlight before we move on from TGM that folks are welcome to go attend the Zoom meeting, and there is a public comment period. So check out the agenda for that, and you can still listen in on it even if you don't want to comment.
Okay, thank you, Chelsea. Okay, so to go on to some land use things. First, the community center. We have a draft agreement between Impact Northwest and BDNA that is now with Andy Nelson. He's away on vacation. He's the executive director. He's away on vacation right now, but he'll be coming back soon. And we will be discussing the agreement with him. Chelsea, thank you very much for agreeing to join us and spend time on this, because we need you. And I'm really appreciative that you're willing to take the time to be part of this. So
school is out, so I can take the time to be part of this.
I might say that again. I'm sorry, what?
I said I am glad school is out, so I can take the
Oh,
time.
exactly. I know the timing is good. It's perfect.
Suddenly I'm not an unpaid teacher for PPS. So
Oh, right.
my
Yeah.
time has opened up.
So, we're still trying to determine who owns the actual building. And we contacted the Asset Management Office of Multnomah County, which spent several weeks searching for documents and did provide us with some documents, but that office says they can find nothing that indicates that the county owns that building. So the documents that were provided indicate that the school district might own the building, but there are two paragraphs in this one document that give the building to the school district, and then the next one takes it away. So we're reaching out to schools now to see whether the school district thinks that it owns the building. And so I've contacted the real estate manager for Portland Public Schools, but I haven't heard back from her yet. So I'll just keep reaching out to her until we hear. So we're just trying to put together a picture of the history. We want to know who owns the building. If it's not the county, then maybe the entity, and it is the school district, then that is useful for Impact to know as which direction to look in for funding for rehabbing the building. Because if Multnomah County doesn't own it, probably doesn't want to spend a lot of money on it. So anyway, we're trying to track this all down, and it's just a very mysterious history and so many gaps, and it's like reading a mystery novel now. But we'll keep working on it, and we'll keep updating you. We've also to go on to
that Stephanie has spent so many hundreds of hours on this, and we need to appreciate how much effort.
Oh, well,
she's
thank
put
you.
in
That's very kind of you.
Yes, thank
and
you.
how many weeks she's been working on this, trying to figure out who owns this building. So just have to put those kudos out there, because it has been an incredible effort, and with so many hours put in. So just a thank you to Stephanie, because you guys have no idea, and I only see the tip of the iceberg with the emails I see.
And I agree, it's like a mystery novel with a different twisting and plotting, and now maybe the school owns it.
Yeah.
Curious to see, what's the final chapter.
Oh yeah, I'm really eager to see the final chapter, believe me. So thank you, everyone. It's been very interesting, though, and the reason we're even engaged in this is really due to those people on the land use committee who are expressing interest in having a place in Brentwood-Darlington where residents could encounter one another. Chelsea, we talked a lot about maybe trying to buy land or develop a building with as a community land trust and so on, but that's an overwhelming kind of project. And then we began to wonder about the community center, and then Chelsea put me in touch with the executive director, and it turns out that he was interested in working with us, which I hadn't known. And so we're now launched in a whole new direction that I think is going to be very it's a very promising direction to have the use of this building for many things, more than what we've done in the past. And those of you who are new and weren't here before the pandemic, we used the building quite a bit. Chelsea organized amazing forums for candidates who were running for election, and also for those who were elected and needed to talk to their constituents. We also used the building for events, Halloween party, National Night Out. Help me, Chelsea, what else did we do? There was, the trunk or treat, right? Out in the parking lot.
Event. I don't know. Let's see. We had our big ones of National Night Out, or some kind of neighborhood party. We had trunk or treat. Chris, do you have a question or an addition for that?
4th of July.
4th of July. That's the one I couldn't think of.
Oh, the 4th of July parade, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, before we get totally off topic, let's move on. But if you're interested in the community center, you can join Stephanie at the Land Use and Transportation Committee meeting, which is the second Tuesday of every month, and sign up for her newsletter. All right, Stephanie, are you ready for the next thing?
Yes, the nuisance house resource list. This is an informational document that we're preparing for Brentwood-Darlington residents who are suffering from nuisance properties. Those are properties that are exhibiting very unpleasant and disruptive behaviors, drug use, dismantling of stolen bicycles, heaping up of trash, or have people illegally living on the rights of way around the house, abandoned automobiles, lots of noise, people coming and going in the middle of the night. When you live near a nuisance property, you know it. So we've had a couple of residents already who reached out to us for help, and we've put together a resource list that consists of a summary of the city code that addresses nuisance houses and who shuts them down. And basically it's up to the police to get that rolling. And first, I guess residents notify the police come and verify that there's a problem. They need to report it to their superiors, and then things may happen that end up in court and with a nuisance house being shut down, but not always. So we want our residents to know what the law is in the city, and since it's not especially helpful, because right now, especially the police are very engaged in other emergencies. Well, they're engaged in emergencies that put nuisance houses kind of far down their list of priorities. So they're not really a resource to turn to just at this moment. But so we have provided lists of emails and phone numbers that people can use to report drug use, trash, illegally parked vehicles, abandoned vehicles. That it's a list of resources that help neighbors sort of nibble away at the nuisance. They might not be able to shut down the house, but they can get the vehicles towed away and the trash removed, and the illegally parked vehicles tagged and fined and so on. Then we also provide information on how they can perhaps appeal to Resolutions Northwest, but that would require property owner or residents to be willing to discuss some kind of resolution, and that's highly unlikely, but we're including that information anyway, just in case. We also have some other resources on there, but basically it's letting residents know what the actual facts are surrounding the nuisance properties, what they can do, what's not available, and it's kind of a reality check with all of the help we can possibly provide. So it will be useful, I think. A very able person who works at Civic Life has been reviewing it for us, and he's asked a couple of his colleagues to look at it. And then once we get it back with their criticisms, we can revise it and then share it with the board. And then if the board approves it, I'd like to make it available to our neighborhood. So that's something that we've been working on for several months now. Then the next point is Pam Hodge, who until recently was on our board and has had to step down for health reasons. She has served on a committee dedicated to choosing some artists who will beautify Errol Heights Park. And so there have been many rounds of nominations, and then winnowing the lists down further and further and further. And she expects that there will be an announcement of the final artists made very soon. I think it will be 2, but I don't know which 2. And then I guess we're going to see what they will be doing. I think she envisions that they'll be doing things like helping to design the park furniture, the water fountains, the benches, this wayfinding signs, but they'll probably be providing other kinds of art too, in the form of sculptures and murals and so on. So it's going to be very interesting to see, and it'll be interesting to know who's chosen. All right, then the property tax levy for Portland Parks and Recs kicks in today. This was approved by residents back in May elections. I think our property taxes will be raised a little bit to provide Portland Parks and Recreation some funding for 5 years, while people at the city try to figure out a permanent solution for bringing in money for Portland Parks and Rec. Anyway, it's the money starts coming in today, and we may benefit from that. We may be able to be seeing better maintenance at our parks, and I go down to Hazeltine and see that it's being kind of abused, and I'm looking forward to parks having enough resources to be able to replace the bench that's been splintered to almost non-existence, and big broken tree branches, hauled away, and so on. So I think this will be a very positive thing, and I guess we'll be hearing about the progress or what staff members and public are coming up with. But probably it will be a district similar to the Portland Public Schools, a district that has the ability to tax the residents of Portland, and then that tax money would go Portland Parks and Recreation, and would be a permanent district. And then to go on, where we are barreling into fire season. And if you remember last year, we had some pretty terrible air quality days where we really couldn't breathe at all. So we have a purple air monitor now for Brentwood-Darlington that you can access at purpleair.com. It gives readings of fine particulate matter. That's the kind that's in smoke. These tiny little particles that get into your lungs, and they can be so fine they can get into your body and be actually in a form of poison. They can impair lung function. It's very important to to know what the readings are. So you can access our monitor at purpleair.com, and you go to the map and you'll find our monitor it's sort of covering up the B in the label Brentwood-Darlington on the map. And there's a little legend that tells you what the reading means. You know, whether it's low, whether it's high, whether you're in the danger zone and you better stay inside, and so on. So I urge everyone to make use of this resource over the summer and into the fall, so that you can better decide, you know, how you're going to you know, how you're going to spend your outdoor hours. You know, maybe not running, maybe wearing a mask, you know, might help a little bit. You might want to stay indoors more on days where there are high readings, you know, but it'll be a guide. And then
Stephanie,
so
I put a
yes,
link in the chat for a direct link, I think, to your station. You are station number 31, if folks are looking. And I think I managed to link directly to it so that people can look at it. Shows the progression of air quality too. So we are currently at, we're still in the green. So.
okay, that's good to know. Thank you very much, Chelsea. That's great. Okay, and just to touch on transportation for a moment, I don't know if you saw in the news, but the heat became so great that TriMet had to shut down its MAX and streetcar operations for 2 days because the heat was making it impossible to operate their equipment, which I guess their equipment is designed to operate up to 110 degrees, and we easily surpassed that. And stuff was melting, sizzling, not working. So I think this was TriMet might have shut down MAX and streetcar operations in the past, but you know, maybe for hours on a day, not for 2 whole days in a row. So this was a first. And then we finally have really, really good news about 82nd Avenue. For years now, Portland and the State Department of Transportation have argued back and forth on the transfer of 82nd Avenue to the city. And the problem has been that the roadway has been, this old highway has been so neglected by ODOT that if the city were to take it over, it would cost us just millions just to bring it up to city standards. And we can't afford that. And that didn't seem right that we should have to pay for ODOT's neglect. And in any case, Portland and ODOT have reached an agreement on who's going to pay how much to bring 82nd Avenue up to high enough standards so that it can then go to the city, which will further invest in it. And we should start seeing a roadway that is much safer for everyone. Chelsea, tell your story about driving on 82nd.
Oh, you mean the one where I had to have my car worked on after hitting a
Yes.
pothole?
Yes.
I think it was maybe my second year here in the neighborhood, and I was driving at 82nd, and the pothole that I hit was so deep it bent the steering rod in my car, and I had to go have quite a bit of work done and that part replaced because the pothole was so deep that it caught the wheel and bent it. So, but I did notice that there is work already happening on our southern edge of 82nd Avenue. So look out for those workers and wave and thank them for making it so your teeth don't rattle out of your head as you drive along.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be a welcome sight to have that roadway improved, and it's going to be made much safer. The city has also come up with some funding to put in some safer crossings and signals and so on, even right now, because we've had some people killed recently on 82nd Avenue, and the city decided to act right away. So this is going to be a big boon for us, though, to have a street that is not a a destructive force to vehicles and a killer of residents who are trying to cross it. And so this is just fabulous news that this agreement has been reached. All right, and then to go on to water, I've been very interested in watching the water situation here because of the heat and the drought that affects most of Oregon. But we are very lucky in Portland. We have a source of water called Bull Run Reservoir. It's actually two reservoirs up in the Cascade Mountains to the east. It's fenced off, nobody's allowed to go in there, holds a lot of water. If though it runs low, we have these aquifers that we switch over to that are near the river, and the water for the aquifers comes from the river, and the Columbia is a mighty river. It's just not going to run dry. And so we have these bountiful underground water resources. So we're not going to be in any danger of not having enough water. It's interesting to me because I came from Portland, where their wells are running dry, and it's become a really drastic situation. And so I think we're just really, really fortunate to have wonderful, bountiful amounts of water to see us through our hot summers now. Then finally, a city policy called the Residential Infill Project becomes effective on August 1st. So that's coming right up. It will allow developers to build multi-unit buildings on single parcels. This hasn't been allowed before in all these areas that allow one building on one lot, single family residential areas. So Portland is amongst one of the first cities in the nation to start dismantling the single family residential development structure, which has actually acted as a wall against Black people, to keep them in their crowded ghettos. And it's been it's been structured so that Black people can never afford to get a loan, so they could move into the single family residential areas. And there were land covenants made that forbade selling to Black people. And it's been a really ugly scene. And so this is welcome news, I think, on the racial justice front. For us here in Brentwood-Darlington, we're already seeing so much development, and the developers have kind of gotten around the one building on one lot regulation by splitting lots and then building one building on each lot. And so they end up with kind of the same effect as residential infill. But residential infill is going to focus on duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, accessory dwelling units, and a variety of different kinds of buildings than what we've been seeing, which have been a lot of single family residences crowded together on little narrow lots. And so it should be very, very interesting. Those who choose to build single family residences will not be able to build huge giant ones that have been possible in the past. So we're trying to scale down the monstrosities and make them more livable, in the sense of not overpowering the streets on which they're constructed. There are going to be limits on how big you can go on a single lot. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I don't think we're going to see a lot more development, but maybe we will. I just don't know. So we'll see. This next year is going to be very interesting as we start to see duplexes and triplexes and fourplexes emerge in our neighborhood. It does, the Trees for Life Oregon people have said, though, that it's going to be a tree killer because the proposed new buildings are designed to pretty much fill up the lots, and that is going to mean that trees are going to be crowded out and removed. So I hate to see that happen. And also, I haven't seen in the literature much in the way of design strictures, and I feel that we need to have the houses designed to have more passive heating and cooling elements. It will allow the eaves of houses to project further out than they do now. And so that will create some shadow over windows, but I haven't seen much else in the way of design that's climate friendly and energy efficient. But I haven't finished looking through all the documents, so maybe it's in there. I just haven't. It's not prominently part of the residential infill project. Let's see. There was one other thing I wanted to add, and that goes back to the fire season point. Probably a lot of you today received in your email a message from PGE saying it's time to prepare your house, get ready for the wildfire season together. And they have, if you go to the PGE website, I'm sorry, I don't have the link. I'm sorry, Chelsea. But if you go to pge.com, you can find their preparation page that tells you how to be ready if fire is heading in our direction and what kinds of supplies you should have on hand in case there are electrical outages, and just be prepared. Last year we had some scares because of these fires that were raging in Clackamas County. It can happen again. It can happen that we may have electrical outages. PGE is warning that although Portland itself is probably not in fire danger, we may still have outages because of equipment that goes down in adjacent counties from fires. And still, we know from watching California, fires can unexpectedly rage through areas where we didn't anticipate that they would. So it's good to be very alert, have made preparations so you can grab and go and leave if you have to. So do check out PGE website to see their recommendations for how to be ready for this summer's fire season.
On that note, where Stephanie, I found that page and linked it there in the chat, as well as the Portland page on the residential infill project. You remember there are emergency preparedness tips in our 2020 resource guide.
Oh, that's right. Good.
Stephanie, do you have anything else before we go on our break?
No, I think that's all now. Thank you.
The only thing I want to note is we are in the midst of our neighborhood's peak fireworks season. So keep your hoses hooked up, buckets of water on hand if you can. Look out for your neighbors. And Portland has just banned the sale of fireworks. So be aware. All right. Is there any other questions for Stephanie about land use before we take a little break? All right. Let's take just a short 5-minute break. We'll be back at 8:08 and I will restart the video then. See you in 5 minutes. All right, we can go ahead and start with our treasurer's report. Props to Lynn for being an amazing treasurer. We are so lucky to have you.
All right. So we started off last month, or ended up last month, with a total of $8,800. That's $7,800 in checking, $1,000 in savings. We only had one transaction, the $10, $50 gift cards the board approved to buy. So that was $500. We also have some upcoming expenses that are going to total $1,525. So at the end of the day, we're going to end up with about $6,700 after those obligations are paid. Any
Thank
questions?
you so much, Lynn.
I'm sorry?
I said, thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Are there any questions for Lynn? All right, board members, just to kind of put in your brains, we should probably start thinking about doing some sort of fundraising or bringing in some income since we haven't done anything in a couple years. We can talk about that at the next all committees, but just start stewing on things. And a note on the gift cards, they are still extremely appreciated by neighbors. We gave out 3 in the last week and a half. One went to a disabled neighbor, who one went to a houseless neighbor, and one went to a new neighbor moved into the neighborhood who has a large family and they're still trying to get on their feet. So we are helping neighbors all over the place. And of those neighbors, one spoke English, one spoke Russian, and the third, I'm not sure what his main language was, but Asian or American Pacific Islander would be my best guess. So we are helping neighbors from all walks of life as well. So just want to let you know that they are so appreciated, and neighbors are just blown away when we have them to offer. So I don't think I've almost been hugged so many times, and then people remember it's pandemic and they're like, oh wait. So okay. Any other questions for Lynn? All right. Thank you so much, Lynn. We appreciate all you do with the treasurer stuff. On the note of the multilingual brochures, which were listed there, I've sent the final ones to Derek, but they have not been processed yet. So we're still working on those, but slowly but surely that project is moving forward, and we'll get all of that wrapped up hopefully in the next month. Next all committees meeting is July 20th, and board members, I want to ask how you feel about having it in person.
This is Kim. I'm okay with it. I'm vaccinated though as well. So
Well, I'm thinking if we can still rent the community center for our normal nights, which I'm sure that we can at this point, it would be fun, and we could have it outside in the picnic area if the weather is nice.
that sounds lovely if the weather is not 121 degrees.
Okay, so we will, they do have air conditioning there. So I will see first if the community center is available and go from there. And we will still set up a computer to at least project a Zoom meeting so neighbors can still attend. But that's a pretty informal meeting. So I think it might be a good one to kind of start testing that on and figure out how we can still have a physical meeting, but also a virtual meeting. Good for everybody? Cool. We do not have quorum to approve outstanding minutes, so we will approve them next month when everybody's back in town. But we do want to give props to our secretary, Laura Lee, who is on a much deserved vacation. Kim, thank you for
Yes.
being our Southeast Uplift representative. Do you have an update, or are we on the month where our meeting cycles don't meet up?
Correct. And I did reach out to Tina Kimmy to see if they had any updates, and she hasn't gotten back to me. So if there are, I will email the group. I think our next meeting is on the 13th, and they're also doing a harm reduction training on the 7th for board members from 4:30 to 6.
I don't
So,
think I got the link for that, or if I did, my email ate it. Would you send
Yeah.
that back out to all the board members?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Sure. And I think that's all I have. Our next meeting, I believe, is the 13th. They changed the date due to the July 4th holiday. And yes, the next sole board meeting is July 13th. And then just as a heads up, I'll be out of town from July 16th for a couple of weeks. Yay.
Thank you. Stephanie, you have a question for Kim?
Yes, because I have a couple of questions. One, what is going on with the search for executive director there?
The last I heard, they were hoping to shoot for early July, but I feel like that was a target that wasn't really going to be met. So maybe by the end of July, they had created an interview panel, but we haven't heard any updates. So as soon as I hear back from Tina Kimmy, I will message you guys. You know, hopefully they'll have something before the 13th. She'll get back to me. But I imagine if not, we'll hear at the next board meeting on the 13th.
And who is Tina Kenny?
She is the chair, board chair.
I see. Okay, and then what is harm reduction?
So that is training to eliminate white supremacy on the sole board. And I will forward you the links. Actually, let me find that now. And I will read it specifically to you.
Kim, are you planning on taking that training?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You know,
So if
I'm
we
new
can't
to the,
attend, you can give us the Cliff Notes
Yeah.
version if we can't make it work.
yeah, sure. It says, it was, oh, I apologize. There were so many emails in this thread. I'll forward you the email for the harm reduction training, but I know that there were several BIPOC members of the board who left, and their reasons for leaving were due to white supremacy on the board. And so they're actively providing training to all members and, you know, in hopes to, you know, make it more diverse, the board more diverse. And I know that I'm new to the board and kind of walking into this situation, but of course, you know, I'm happy to participate in any trainings that they have and happy to be a part of making it more diverse.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thank you, Kim. Yeah, anything we can do to make our neighbors feel more welcome, we're definitely up for. And
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
just so you know, I'll have a slide for you every month, and you can, but because I can never remember which months we fall out of their meeting cycle.
Mhm.
So you can always just
Okay.
be like, nope, no news this month.
Yeah, okay.
The thing I received from Southeast Uplift that you might not have, because I think it went out to like the chair emails or whatever, there is a clean neighborhood sponsorship started. And I sent this out to the board, but I know that most of us haven't had a chance to look at it. So we can do a cleanup activity in a public area. And then they had an FAQ document, so I just pulled that really fast so we could look through it. And the short version is that Metro is piloting a sponsorship program to provide funds for community cleanups. And they're currently reaching out for a soft rollout. The primary goal is to address immediate cleanup needs in the most impacted communities, specifically supporting community groups, cities, counties, businesses, etc. So if there's an area of our neighborhood that we would like to focus on doing a cleanup, we could look into this program. The criteria is they have to be activities or events in the planning phase that support an immediate cleanup need. So like trash pickup along Johnson Creek or 82nd as a example. We can also they have activities such as reducing dumping of large items, promoting proper disposal or litter removal. So I'm not sure if that covers our bulk waste events. And so that's I wanted to see if that was an interest for neighbors, and if so, then we can start dialing in on this and see if we can be part of it. I know we have talked about doing another event, and I think maybe a summer or fall cleanup might be in our future.
Okay.
Areas have to be equity focused, And then they have things about who can request funds, which we fall under as a nonprofit. The amounts available are generally between 2,500 and 5,000 per activity. So we might be able to get refunded for a lot of our expenses if we host a waste event. And then there's information about how we make requests, and the intake forms, the requirements, reporting, and who we contact. So I also sent this out to board members in your email, and this document's included in it. Do we want to investigate this and see if we can do one of our bulk waste cleanups?
Yes.
Okay, I'm seeing nods from Stephanie, Kim.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Lynn, thumbs up. All right, let's see. Okay, so I will send my questions to the email there on the screen and see if they cover the bulk waste events. And if so, we will
Mhm.
kick the ball on that and get it rolling as quick as possible. Hopefully we can just recreate what we've done in years past.
Mhm.
So.
And I did find the email, and it's called Interrupting Harm.
Mhm.
And the email says, and I forwarded it to both you and Stephanie. My phone won't let me forward it to the whole group, but it just says, as an organization, it's important to push for efforts to dismantle white supremacy within our organization, to create an inclusive, safe space for everyone. The training has many efforts put forth to put Southeast Uplift's mission and values into action. So it's like, it's a start. So yeah.
I'll send that out to the rest of the board. My phone does the exact same thing.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else that we want to talk about? Anyone wants to bring up? Or do we want to be done early tonight? And Stephanie, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, no, I'll be really fast, but I just wondered if you, I haven't been over to Cartlandia. I don't know what the situation is over there, but I know, they were having some big problems with the encampments. And I wanted to know if you had any update on how things stand. And
I don't, but I have not seen anything recently, which means that they're probably currently being assisted or in the middle of something. When it kind of goes like this, where they'll get assistance and they'll clean up, and then things will deteriorate again, and then I'll get emails. I'll be included in emails. So I've not seen any in a few weeks, so I don't have an update. But definitely feel free to reach out to Carol and talk to her if you want to about that situation. She would have a lot of insight on different entities that she's worked with on those issues, and how private and versus public property affects who you can contact and how things are done. So, any other questions?
no, thank you.
All right. All right. A reminder, we will be here again next Thursday, the first Thursday of the month in August. So right after you water your trees for the first Soak It week, the last week of July, you will come see us again the first week of August. And in between then, join us for Land Use and Transportation the second Thursday, and all committees the third Tuesday. All those dates, events, and all that fun stuff can be found at Brentwood-Darlington.org. Thank you, everyone who attended. Let's be done early. Stay safe, stay cool, and have a great 4th.
Okay, good night, everybody. Nice to
Thanks,
see you.
everyone.
Everybody.
Bye.